Hey, Crystal, thank you for sending me your dream request. I'm excited to be able to get to answer this for you. Long dream, lots of detail. Love that. If you're kind of new here, I'll tell you how we do this. Typically, I read through the entire dream, tell you about the symbols, and then we finish it off with telling you how that applies to your life and what your mind is trying to tell you to do. This one's a little bit long, though. These are only about 3 to 5 minutes, so I'm not going to read through the whole thing of yours because I don't want to waste your time like that. But I'm going to give the background, and we're going to talk about how this dream really relates to what you're going through and what you're working on personally. So, Crystal, here we go. Okay, so you said that a lot of times at your work, you will pick up these stray animals, and that's kind of like a normal thing that happens at your job. You also said that there's been a lot of stuff for you: complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, ADHD. That have caused you to really have very difficult dreams, which makes a lot of sense. And it says you're working through with a therapist through those things, so you're doing all the right stuff. I'm very excited to hear that. Very encouraged to be able to hear that, and that you're getting better. So let's talk about the dream. You said, I dreamt I was on the way to work and I was close, within a mile, but had to pull over and walk the rest of the way due to an issue with a small bridge undergoing construction. This is actually undergoing construction in real life, but not typically closed. I noticed while walking that there was a stray kitten, which is normal sorry, I've noticed that the focus is off there. Hopefully that's better. That's kind of normal for you because there's always these stray animals that are kind of showing up at your work. So you, saw this stray kitten and you remember thinking how it was black and white and looked like my cat. I picked it up and heard meowing. I looked around and there were many kittens, variety of colors throughout the area, in need of help, just roaming and lost. I walked with the one kitten in my hand to my office to try and find an animal carrier. We had a lot of these at work from all our random rescue operations. I was telling my coworkers what I had seen and rushing to find a carrier big enough for multiple kittens. I remember feeling this sense of panic take over. I left and went back to the site where the kittens were, and I could tell some were injured badly and meowing for help. I was searching for the mother, and I thought I saw an older, bigger cat, but wasn't sure because something else caught my eye. It was a white fox. I suppose it could be compared to an Arctic fox, but I live in a rural New York, so that seems odd to say. I felt even more panic and a sense of urgency to collect the kittens as I knew they were all in danger. The fox stared at me for a moment before picking up a kitten in its mouth. The kitten was lifeless. Immense sadness took over that I couldn't save this poor little kitten. I started looking around at all the wounded kittens around me and felt complete despair, knowing I couldn't save them all. I looked up and the fox began to walk away with the deceased kitten in its jaws. I woke up in a panic and consumed with sadness. And that kind of concludes the dream. So let's talk about the symbolism here because it's very, very rich, very rich. So there's a few things I want to hit on. Let's start from the beginning. Bridge. Bridge is the connection from one place to another. Particularly, it means kind of a new identity. You're bridging the gap between one way of being and another way of being. Oftentimes, we'll dream about these bridges being closed. So in this dream, did I say that right? We'll dream about bridges being closed because we're having trouble moving from one identity to another. Hope I said that right. But in this dream, that's exactly what's going on. There's a bridge that you can't get across because there's construction. And so it's the construction, the building that you're doing inside, trying to move from your current way of being into your new way of being. This is your therapeutic journey. On this therapeutic journey, symbolized by the closed bridge that has construction, you find the stray kitten. What's stray kitten? Stray kitten is femininity, it is independence, and it is vulnerability. Vulnerability because it's a baby. It needs to be protected. It needs to be taken care of. So kind of the gateway to your feminine identity, your feminine power, whether you identify as male or female, it doesn't matter. Your feminine identity that lives inside all of us. Your independence, because cats are very independent, is, kind of held back. Not really held back, but it needs some extra attention because it's still in its infancy. It's still in its kitten stage. And so there's a lot of that going on. There's these very vulnerable parts of yourself that are strewn out all over the place. And so you're rushing, like, I gotta put them all in the cat carrier. And this is where the panic kind of comes in. This is where the anxiety, the CPTSD, the ADHD, that fear that sets in a lot of your other dreams is being mimicked here in this type of scenario, because this represents vulnerable parts of your inside that, when developed all the way through, will be amazing potential. But right now, they're still kind of in their infancy. Again, illustrated by the bridge that's closed. So then you see this white fox. Oh man, white fox is going to eat the kittens. What do you do about that? White fox. Foxes are sneaky, they're thieves, they're tricky, but they're very smart, they're cunning, they're wise. And so there's kind of this twofold symbolism here, this dichotomy inside of a fox. It's an amazing symbol, but they're also kind of sneaky. Almost not really liars, but tricksters, right? They're amazingly wise and intelligent, but if that wisdom and intelligence is not used in the right way, it can be kind of like a thief, right? So you kind of see sort of this light and shadow side playing in the fox. That's why they're so beautiful, because there's a little bit of mystery in there. They're also a very feminine symbol too. You know, foxes are, well, they have kind of a feminine energy to them. And so you can see here in this dream that you have, the symbolism between the two is the two parts of your feminine energy are kind of like at war within each other, right? There's the independent and the assertive sort of parts of yourself that are vulnerable in their infancy, and you're worried that this other part of you, the part of you that maybe is kind of represented as your shadow side, the fox, right? These parts of you that are really smart, really wise, really tricky, really shrewd and cunning, worried that those parts will hurt the vulnerable parts. And this is the tension that you're in. And so oftentimes in our therapeutic journey, you know, we have to really balance these two parts of ourselves, both the light and the dark. There's parts of yourself that have been very, very wounded and are very, very vulnerable. And sometimes we are afraid of watching those die and go. But really, in some ways, that fox is hungry, and we have to feed the fox too. And so it's difficult. Like, I'm sure you've experienced this, and your mind is playing this out in one of the most beautiful illustrations I've seen. It's playing out this realization that as you get better, certain vulnerable parts of you kind of have to die, right? They have to, these little kittens, right? All of them. You can't save all of them. Some of them have to feed the fox, which is also just as valuable a part of yourself as the kittens are. And so it's you finding this balance. So my encouragement to you, right? We read the dream, we talk about the symbols, and then we talk about what to do. My encouragement to you would be, it's okay to be sad for the parts of you that are hurt, but also recognize the significance that even though they're hurt, you don't have to be sad as certain parts of you go away and you become stronger. Certain parts of you do have to go away as you become stronger. There is kind of an ego death, right, that happens as you develop, and this bridge is being built from one area to the new identity that you're stepping into. So I really hope this encourages you. This is a great dream, even though it's sad and even though you feel this panic around this fox. But remember, you are the fox, and there's parts of you that you're afraid of feeding and afraid of taking care of, but they're just as much worth being taken care of as the kitten parts of you, which feel more safe to take care of. So I guess to sum it all up, feed the dangerous parts of you because they're beautiful too. So Christle, I hope that helps. I love that you sent me these. You made a mention in the other parts that I read without the camera recording that you're going to send me more. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, you're always welcome to schedule a coaching session with me too, where we can talk live about your dreams and you can just run through a whole slew of them with me and we can go through all of them. So if that's helpful for you, links are in the description of this video. But hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for sending this to me. I hope this helps. And I'm sure we'll talk again very soon. Until then, peace.